Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. In the past several years, my connection to the Sarasota Film Festival has grown. As the youngest board member and having graduated just a few years ago, my main interest is in the education program. It connects to over 5,000 kids with cinema and film in a way that allows them to develop an understanding of the filmmaking process while they otherwise could not enjoy it. Film is great in its ability to allow those children to see and understand issues from our past and present and to use those stories to shape their future. I want to thank everyone here for your support of our programs, not only today, but throughout the year. I'm honored to be associated with the Film Festival because it has become a pillar of the cultural life in our community. It brings thousands of guests from the film world to Sarasota so that we can show off our growing city and its natural beauty. Through any independent film festival, we get to look at those lesser-known films that don't always get the recognition that they deserve. Film festivals allow filmmakers to make passionate pieces, and I'm particularly proud of our festival and our programmers for putting in those important stories, the stories that aren't always easy to watch but need to be heard and discussed. This luncheon is to celebrate women in film. Each of your table numbers pays tribute to a lady that has attended our festival and either starred in, directed, or produced a film. The president of our board, Mark, said, "You can describe the festival as the unintended consequence of doing things right. The board is not interested in especially pursuing women filmmakers. We're just interested in pursuing great films. Most people don't know that we have more than 100 films this year directed by women. We believe this is..." We believe that this is the first time any major U.S. festival has achieved this distinction. Today, we are here to pay tribute and have lunch with one of the icons of our entertainment industry, a woman whose presence on TV and film stands as a beacon of inspiration to young actors everywhere. That is, of course, Jane Seymour. Jane Seymour's career spans decades, and she still embodies beauty and grace. Audience love her, and we at the Sarasota Film Festival love her. Our community is proud to welcome two-time Emmy winner, film great, and icon of television, Jane Seymour.
Thank you. Thank you all. Oh my gosh. This is amazing. I can't thank you enough for the honor. I don't know that I really deserve it. Looking at the clips, clearly I know how to kiss. Number one, and clearly I know how to play virgins, number two. Well into my 40s. But more later, I believe I'm going to come back, and you can ask any question you like, so start thinking now. And thank you so much for inviting me here, and I look forward to it.
This year, we're very fortunate to have Diana Kelly have designed these purses specifically to support the Sarasota Film Festival education program, which addresses many of the youth in our community, in our region, and educates them to not only understand how film communicates, but to make films. I don't know if any of you were at our event last evening at the Opera House, but that's one of many, many of the events that include the youth, the children of our community.
So when we were planning this luncheon, we wanted to think this is all about women in film and, just women in general. So we're like, how can we raise some money? So we figured we'd make some purses. And the first person that we thought of course, was Diana. She's so philanthropic and so involved. She's a Sarasota native. So she agreed to design this bag. So I'd like to introduce Diana Kelly Buchanan.
Hi. As Kelly said, when Charlie Ann first called me last fall and said, we're thinking about doing a bag, would you be interested? I was so excited and so humbled and honored that they would even ask me to work on a project like this, especially like Kelly said, I was born and raised here in Sarasota. I love design, and to be able to partner with Sarasota Film Festival that does so much community outreach, like Mark just talked to us about, was very exciting. So 100% of the proceeds of this bag are going to the Sarasota Film Fest and their community outreach programs. And we only made 100, so there are only 100 bags. They're limited edition. There's a custom Sarasota Film Fest lining inside with a custom, the whole bag is custom. It's representative of the Luncheon theme, which is this vintage Hollywood glam that you're seeing. So the tassel detail is very classic. The shape, everything's representative of the Film Fest Luncheon theme and then the Film Fest this year. So we really hope you consider purchasing one and supporting the Sarasota Film Fest and the wonderful outreach programs that they're doing. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Diana. Amy and Maggie will be floating around the tables there, waving their hands. Maggie's in the back and Amy's on the side if anyone would like to purchase those purses. As she said, there are only 100, and seriously, there are only 100. I think we've gone through about 42 of them already in the last hour and a half. So if you have an interest, I suggest you buy them. I think what Diana said didn't mention was I think they cost more to produce than what we're actually selling them for. But thank you so much, Diana. It's really wonderful. I'd like Michael Dunaway to come up to the podium.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming out. I want to reinforce what they said about the bags. You can see on your table how beautiful these bags are, and you will not have a chance to get them after they are all gone. Once they're gone, nothing more. All your friends will have one of these and you will not have one, and you will regret not buying one today. I guarantee you. So make sure you're buying. Buy some for your friends, in fact, so they're not mad at you for having one. All right. It's been a fantastic Sarasota Film Festival 2015. We've gotten through 7 days, and we've got 3 wonderful days left. As you know, the closing weekend is the big weekend at the Sarasota Film Festival for talent and for parties and for major movies and major press. We're so excited to have everybody here. We encourage you to join us tonight at our Cinema Tropicale party at Michael's on East. As you know, that's one of the biggest events every year, not only of the film festival, but of this whole Sarasota social calendar. I believe that Jane will be joining us for just a little bit of that. We also have some of our other talent who's in town, some of whom are here with us tonight. I just want to recognize Mickey Sumner is here. Mickey is in This Is Happening and the End of the Tour, and is of course a past Sarasota Film Festival Award recipient. The great Jess Wexler is here as well. Jess and Jen Prediger will be helping us MC the closing night awards ceremony on Saturday. You also want to make sure that you're going to see her film Apartment Troubles, which she and Jen co-wrote, co-produced, co-directed, co-acted in, co-craft services, co-everything else. Actor Marshall Allman is here, back in the back there, from True Blood and Prison Break and Blue Like Jazz and others. I'm sure I'm missing some other talent we have in the room, but Saisha, oh my goodness, Saisha is here. Who was here last night at the Opera House when Saisha took us to church? Let me tell you. Amazing evening at the Newtown at 100 celebration. And Saisha, thank you for gracing us with that, my goodness. There are other people that we'd love for you to be introduced to later today and or later tonight at the Cinema Tropicale. By way of introducing our guest of honor, reintroducing our guest of honor, I have a little story to tell you. I may have the dates a little bit wrong, but I think I was 10 years old when I got an invitation to spend the night at a friend's house, a spend the night party, and asked my parents, who are here tonight, John and Trish Dunaway, if I could go, and they said yes, but I left out one little detail, which was that this friend's parents had purchased one of these newfangled things called a VCR, and that I was going to be watching my first James Bond movie at the sleepover. Sorry, Mom and Dad. About an hour and 45 minutes later, I knew two things for sure: that James Bond was one of the coolest people on the planet, and that Jane Seymour was one of the most beautiful women I had ever seen. Today, as I stand before you, I'm 47 years old, and James Bond is still one of the coolest people on the planet, and Jane Seymour is still one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. You know, it's easy to talk about Jane's beauty and then to talk about her acting skills, which are also extraordinary, and it's easy to separate them unnecessarily, because her beauty and grace that she exhibits on screen are inextricably tied to the acting work that she produces. There are a handful of actors in the history of the cinema who invigorate and ennoble the screen just by the atmosphere of their presence, just by their natural grace. And among those people, I would put Audrey Hepburn and Grace Kelly, and of course, our guest today, Jane Seymour. Jane walks onto the screen, and you think that everything is going to be okay. You think that there is beauty and truth and wonderfulness in the world again. And that's an inestimable gift that she gives all of us. She gave all of us that gift for years and years, many times in the decades to come, and we were fortunate enough to enjoy her performances in many of the things you saw in the reel. Somewhere in Time, for those of us who are, diehard romantics, none of us will ever forget that film. Throughout her entire storied career, and her entire storied television career as well. And so she's a longtime favorite of mine, and so when we got word of a movie that had been submitted to us called Bereave, starring Malcolm McDowell and Jane Seymour, I knew that I had to see it. And once I saw it, I knew that we had to program it. Evangelos, if you could stand up for just a second. The director of the film is here with us as well. Evangelos is a young director of immense promise. We're very pleased to have the film here. He has really told a very strange, very unexpected, and very wonderful story about a couple. One character played by Malcolm McDowell and one character played by our guest, Jane Seymour. I encourage all of you to go see it today in the Opera House if possible. As you know, seeing a movie in an opera house in the Opera House here is not like seeing a movie anywhere else. It is a guaranteed wonderful experience for you. And now, at this point, I'm going to have Mark Familio come back up with me for the presentation of our award for the day.
Jane, would you come up, please? You can speak.
On behalf of the Sarasota Film Festival, Mark and I are pleased to present the 2015 Icon of Television Award to Ms. Jane Seymour. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. The word icon is frightening me already. This is really, I'm so grateful. This is an amazing tribute. This is something I shall cherish, and I shall put that in a special place at home. And whenever I think that I'm not working, I'll remind myself that I did. First off, I really want to say how wonderful it is to be here and see all of you, and how wonderful it is. Evangelos made the most amazing movie. It was a labor of love. You know, sometimes you get to do these big ones like James Bond, and they throw money at it, and cars and crashes and all of that. And then you find a movie that speaks to you so much that you know you have to make it. And then you send it round to your friends and they say, we have to make it too. And then you all get together, and even though we make big movies and big television shows and theater and all of that, we just went, that this is material we have to do. And we did. And I'm really so thrilled that you picked it out, because there are only 1 trillion movies for you to watch, and I'm sure you don't have time for 1 trillion movies. And this one's getting word of mouth, you know, people who watch it, it's like a virus, it's a good one, it's spreading. So if you have a chance to see it, I've also been told by people that have seen everything I've ever done that it is the best work they've ever seen me do. But if you're expecting me to take my clothes off or be ridiculously funny, you'll have to look at Jane the Virgin and a couple of other things I've been doing recently. You have to weigh these things up. But, you know, it's a wonderful, it's very hard to explain. It's such a unique story, but it's about a family, about love, and about a relationship at special times. So we're going to open this up to questions, because I could talk forever on a million subjects, but I'd rather focus on things you might want to know about. So do we have any questions? Thank you. For those who might not have heard it, the question was that for most actors, especially actresses, age 40 is the cutoff date, you know, sell by. And why am I still working at 64? Good question. Well, I would say that, first of all, I've always managed to play younger than I actually am. I've also chosen in my life to try to play my own age as well, and I have chosen not to go to the knife or the fillers or the Botox or the rest of it. I felt that I earned my wrinkles, and they might come in handy if I ever played somebody that wasn't so happy with how things were going that day. Hence the bangs, okay, you know? Age, youth. No, you know what, I've been really fortunate. When I first started out, I was, you know, selected because I had a certain look. But actually, that wasn't really what I wanted. I wanted to be an actress, a classical actress, and I did all the classics in the theater, and in fact, I'm about to go back into the theater again after 30-something years. It's pretty scary to do Noel Coward's The Vortex. So I'm really interested in playing women who are aging, who are going through what I'm going through. And I think women are much more interesting after 40. And anyway, when I was 40, I got cast as Dr. Quinn, who was a virgin, let's face it. I don't think I lost my virginity until on film in that show. Until well into the season, like 45 or something. So, yeah. And I do a lot of comedy too. So you ask, why am I still going? I sort of have reinvented myself a few times. You know, who in their right mind would play Dr. Quinn and then decide to play Kitty Cat? But I'm glad I did, because then suddenly people said, "Oh, she's funny." So there you go. Yes,
Two quick notes.
Yeah.
2 quick notes. Mark is walking around with a mic, and also, if you would like to sit, you're welcome to sit.
Oh no, I'm good. Any other questions?
My question.
Yes.
So who was your favorite leading man? Which one did you think was the most professional? Which one did you think was the sexiest? And which one was the best kisser?
Wow. Wow.
Well, that's a good one. So, Christopher Reeve is right up there. I adored Christopher. Everything was magical, and when I watched that kiss on screen, you know, we tried to keep it a secret from everyone at the time, but it was real. It very rarely is, but that was a real connection, a real. We were very close till the day he died, and Dana, I'm very close to her too. And when Dana couldn't be with him, she used to call me up and say, "Can you go and hang with Chris?" when he was in the chair, and I'd run interference for him and ply him with drink and make him laugh. So I adored him. Joe Lando, I think he was pretty hot. Yeah. The only problem was I dated him just after the pilot, and we broke up when they picked up the series. So it's a secret, but we barely spoke for 7 years. We're now the closest friends on the planet. But so that was pretty electric. That, we'd had a little private practice, but the most professional. Gosh. That's really hard because I've worked with some extraordinary people. I would say that working with Sir John Gielgud was one of the great joys of my life. And especially because when he wasn't giving huge speeches in One Remembrance, which somehow he could remember at the age of 90, he was telling me all about Vivian Leigh. And I've always wanted to play Vivian Leigh in her later years, so, that was an amazing experience. And I just couldn't believe how he could give that performance at that age. And I used to say to him, why are you working so late in your life? And he said, dear girl, he said, I have never missed a day's work in my life. And as long as I have a call sheet for the morning, I know I will wake up. So, yeah. Any other questions?
It's over there.
Hi, Jane. I'd just like, first of all, to say thank you for being such a wonderful inspiration to film and to women in particular in film. You're amazing, truly. And the United Kingdom misses you desperately. And the second thing is, would you consider, even at this stage in your career, doing short indie films if the genre was correct and the script was what you would consider to be your thing?
Absolutely. I'm doing all kinds of small indie stuff. I really am. And also, I should have mentioned that I'm producing a great deal, too. I exec produced on Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash movie, which I worked on extensively, and Glenn Campbell, I'll Be Me, which, if you haven't seen, is a great documentary. I exec on our movie here, Bereave, and High Strung, which is a great musical, which is coming out hopefully soon. And I do, it's really the merit of the work. I've done things direct to the internet, too. I've done a little comedy series called Quitters, which my daughter wrote and stars in, and I play the role of her mother. But it's very funny, and then I'm, developing that for a series. But I read and look at all different kinds of things. I'm really interested in doing unique and different material, and so long as it's good, and so long as we can get it out there, I'm very happy to look at it.
Right there.
Hello? Yes.
Good afternoon. Throughout your career, how did you manage such a busy life and career as well as raising a family? And how did you deal with those challenges throughout the years?
Well, you know what? I don't know. Before I had a family, I kept looking at people with children, and I kept thinking, gosh, I'm never going to be like one of them. That's boring. First of all, they can't go anywhere. Secondly, they're always boasting about their child's toilet habits or school application or whatever. I'm just not going there. But of course, I ended up with 6 children, 4 grandchildren at last count. And all I can say is that I've adapted my career to be able to have the ultimate gift in life, which for me was a family. But I was able to do both because I picked them up and took them with me wherever I went. My kids grew up on movie sets. One minute they'd be living in war-torn Yugoslavia just before the war broke out, or they'd be in Paris. That wasn't so bad when I played Marie Antoinette. They've lived all over the world, and some of them are actually now, of course, going into the business themselves. But it has been a struggle. I think it's a struggle just to be a parent anyway. A full-time parent, I think, is incredibly hard. And I take my hat off to anyone that does that, because, that's the unpaid, unsung hero job. That's the person that has to wear many hats and do many things and are rather taken for granted. And, of course, I did have help. I did hire a nanny to help me. And so, but I would take my children on the set. On Dr. Quinn, they were with me all the time. I'd rehearse the scene holding twins and then sort of pass them off to the wrangler or the production manager or whoever would take them. And so all my kids are very good about being social.
I think we might have time for maybe one more. This is your chance. We have one right back there.
Oh, what do I think of Marie Antoinette? That was an amazing experience. I wish you could see it. I think you have to look for it on the internet somehow. But I did a 6-hour movie playing, it's called The French Revolution. I did it in 2 languages. My agent forgot to tell me I was actually performing it in French. In fact, they didn't even ask me if I spoke French. So to start with, it was very frightening. I arrived in France, and the director and producers and everyone meet me for the first time, and the casting director, and they just spoke to me in French, and I just thought, okay, I will try my best to speak back to you in French. And then they all looked shocked and horrified, and then they announced to me that I was hired to play it in 2 languages. So first of all, I have to thank Marie Antoinette for teaching me to speak French, which I now speak fluently, and for appreciating good Bordeaux, because that's where she got her head cut off, and we got to spend a lot of time there. And I wasn't required to look good for those scenes, so trust me, I experienced some great Bordeaux. Marie Antoinette was a great and extraordinary role. I personally love playing real people, and that was one of my favorites. I have an enormous collection now of books about her and her letters, and I think she was much maligned in many ways, and I think she was in those days, that's how they played the United Nations. You married the enemy's child off to the other enemy, and you hoped they'd make peace, and that's kind of what would go on. I don't think she had a lot of choice. I'm sure it was a miserable life, and interestingly enough, you know how you send out a Christmas card with the picture of the family? Well, I was doing a costume fitting in Paris, and obviously I'd sent one to the costumer, and the next thing I know, they hired my children to play the royal children. So if you ever do see the movie, my son, who was 4 at the time, played the Dauphin, and my daughter, who was 7, played the Dauphine, and they looked exactly like the royal children. And my son at 4 did not understand the process of acting, so he had to be bribed. And because he was in a lot of scenes where his mother was being attacked and father being murdered, he decided that weapons were what he really wanted. So he would not, put a little blue knickerbocker suit on or wear girls' clothing unless he was given something above the camera that he would get at the end of the day. So don't put your children in movies. It completely destroys parenting.
Well, great mother, great actress, great producer. From the bottom of our open hearts, thank you, Jane Seymour, for joining us.
Thank you very much. And come and see Bereaved. Thank you.
Enjoy your desserts, coffee, whatever, and thank you for attending this afternoon.